Coming up next, our doubleheader of ACC Sunday Night Hoops presented by Pizza Hut continues as number 1 North Carolina meets number 19 Clemson.
For over 50 years, the tradition of excellence has continued in the Atlantic Coast Conference. But it's not all about trophies and winning. It's also about sportsmanship, showing respect, rising above it all, and being a leader for both fans and players alike. In the ACC, we're working hard to continue making sportsmanship a tradition. The ACC, a tradition of excellence, then, now, and always.
ACC Sunday Night Hoops is presented by Pizza Hut. Want great pizza? Get the new Pizza Mia pizzas, $5 each every day. Get more, not less, only from Pizza Hut. And brought to you in part by TGI Fridays, where the 3-course menu is back. With 3 courses and bold new flavors, it'll make your taste buds explode. Give me more Fridays. Little John Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina, filled to capacity. The highly anticipated opener of the Atlantic Coast Conference season. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, Jen Hildreth, happy to have you with us. Game 2 of our ACC Sunday night doubleheader. There's the Hall of Famer, Roy Williams. This will be his 151st game as head coach in 5 years. You look at a Pizza Hut starting lineup for him: Deion Thompson, the aforementioned Tyler Hansbrough, Ty Lawson, Wayne Ellington, the sharpshooter, Marcus Ginyard, the designated defender, Oliver Purnell, who has worked many times with Roy Williams in USA basketball, now in his 5th year with these Tigers. He's got them clawing. His starting lineup looks this way. The one freshman that we mentioned, DeMonte Stitt, who's taken over for Vernon Hamilton. Hammonds has tutored him, the veteran 2 guard. Booker and Mays, the bookends, and Casey Rivers, the leading scorer. Let's get, G-Man, your game plan for tonight's game.
Well, you take a look at it, Timmy, and both of these teams play for a lot. For Carolina, defend and rebound, limit them to 1 shot and no offensive rebounds, and put together a 40-minute game. For Clemson, a confident start. The first 8 minutes, a chance to prove themselves, and they must slow down Ty Lawson.
Our officials for tonight's game: Gary Maxwell, Tony Green, and Ray Natili.
And this crowd, and I've done a lot of games here, Tim, and for 45 minutes before tip, they were at full throat. They are ready for this game.
And the tap control to the Tigers. DeMonte Stitt, number 2, the youngster operating at the point. Here's Rivers. Rivers more of a slasher, a driver. He looks for avenues. And there's the bounce pass inside. Nice jump stop by Mays. A strong move to the rack.
Well, they want to attack inside. Hansbrough and Thompson as well. Very demonstrative move. Of course, Mays coming back from that hip injury. 18 points against Bama the last time out, but feeling a little bit better.
Mays knocked it away, but it was recovered by Ellington. Wayne Ellington's been in a bit of a shooting slump of late. Lawson can't connect. Rivers clears into the hands of DeMonte Stitt.
Talk about the speed of North Carolina, but Clemson not afraid to move it up the floor either. Great matchup there, one-on-one, Ginyard Rivers.
Rivers running the curl and driving right to the basket, as we mentioned. 4-0 Clemson. Don't blink. Ellington right back at you. A great example of how quickly off a made basket North Carolina can motor.
No team scores faster, Tim, and you have to go into defensive mode immediately when you score if you're Clemson. It's recognition, turning around, and finding where the ball is.
Rivers, not this time. Rebound control to Lawson. They'll have to play even more minutes now with no Bobby Fraser. This is, in many respects, a real test for North Carolina, because if you look at their schedule, they've got some good road wins, but not against quality competition, and certainly not against a team that matches up as well inside against Hansbrough as these bookends, Mays and Booker do.
Kind of a forced shot early in the clock for Mays,
which allows Lawson a chance to motor and draw the foul on the other end. Look at the best all-time starts for North Carolina in history, and this is a 14-0 club right now.
You think that 57 team is watching like the Miami Dolphins?
No, I don't think it's the same mindset, no.
Gonna be tough to top that one.
And I don't see Dean Smith thinking about his years under Coach McGuire as being like Shula waiting out Belichick. Just can't quite come to grips with that. We're tied at 4, just over 2 minutes gone here at Little John Coliseum.
Let's see if they try to get something into Booker down low. They talked earlier about trying to attack Hansbrough.
Stitt gave him a free lane. He short-armed it. He and Mays keep the ball alive. Hammonds from downtown. Well, Thompson and Booker are going at it. Last touched by Trevor Booker, the sophomore from Whitmire, South Carolina, Union High School. North Carolina shoots for the lead on this possession.
Look at the double team trying to get out of Lawson's hands.
Ellington, a little too strong. He's always strong. Hansbrough with the putback.
Best offensive rebounder in the league at 4.5 per.
Hammonds. A little return to sender from the Tigers. Lawson. Yes, and a foul.
I'll be stunned if we have a shot clock violation in this game, Tim. Well, here's the look. Right away, the kick up by Stitt. Hammonds at a full sprint. They've been practicing playing at this pace, trying to get used to it, having to defend North Carolina, but obviously helping out offensively for Clemson that time. But then Lawson turns it right around, a chance for a three-point play.
We spoke to Oliver Purnell earlier today, Mike, and a lot of coaches have to alter their thought process when you go against Carolina because of the defensive transition concerns. Not for Oliver Purnell. He embraces this style of play.
Well, they broke it down. They did a lot of 2-on-2 running drills, 3-on-3 running drills.
Turn around by Booker. Hansbrough fighting for it. Cleared by Raymond Sykes, who just got into the game. And Oglesby, the outstanding sharpshooter from Cleveland, Tennessee, is fouled. Ellington and Thompson were in there, and it's Wayne Ellington picking it up, his first.
Well, you look at Raymond Sykes, over half of his rebounds on the year, Tim, were on the offensive glass, 25 out of 43. And hustling there, and then he got a chance to really play when James Mays was out. He stepped up his game, and this young man at the line right here may be one of the best off-the-bench players in the league, certainly scoring the basketball.
Another issue tonight for Roy Williams, not only as Quentin Thomas finally back from that ankle injury, and he should get some playing time to spell Lawson with Fraser out, but Alex Stevenson is still missing in action. His father's very ill out in California as Ginyard gets the easy deuce. But this is a Clemson team that's 10 deep as well.
Well, nice play over the top that time by North Carolina. You see the pressure. Clemson will try to apply that all game long, but the good look ahead, and you get layups against it.
Sykes goes high-low to Booker.
Yeah, that play is there. I mean, Hansbrough really gave no effort at all defensively.
Ginyard again over the top. Oglesby clears it for Clemson. Three-pointer for Rivers.
I don't think you can press this kid.
Ellington, Rivers rejects him. Ginyard back up and he's fouled. It is a relentless attack of the rack. KC Rivers goes high-low inside to Booker and then delivers the goods from way downtown. KC without a sunshine band. We'll be right back. Clemson's lone loss came on a neutral floor against Ole Miss, an undefeated team in the SEC. But this is conference play, and we talked to Oliver Purnell about the importance of this game in terms of where they are as a program.
This is a great measuring stick today. This is a game that our guys go into expecting to win. I think that says a lot about where we are as a program and as a team.
He also went on to say, before the season got started, Mike, not only should we be an NCAA tournament team, they got into the NIT finals a year ago, we should believe that we can compete for a national championship.
Well, and I think a good psychology there, Tim. Don't put the bar too low.
Yeah.
You know, because you have to be in the tournament to play for a championship. If you make your goal just getting into the tournament, I think you sell yourself a little bit short. So I think it's good for him to take the focus off of that and just be all about winning.
And in keeping with the bowl season, Mike, he donned his Orange Bowl executive director jacket tonight.
A color neither one of us would look very good in.
No, you must be svelte to don that uni. Oglesby a leaner, drawing the contact from Ellington. You look at the wins over the years since taking over this program for Purnell, and you don't get jobs unless there are issues. Constant success, and here very early January, almost halfway to last year's 25 win.
Well, and he's built it on defense, but now starting to sprinkle in offensive players like Oglesby at the line. We talked to him today about him. So many of his attempts are three-pointers. He's getting jammed right now, but Tim, in this game, I've seen an ability to put the ball on the floor by Oglesby, a good mid-range game, and he's getting to the line, making adjustments.
An amazing number on this youngster from Tennessee, Bradley Central High School. 70% of all of his field goals made are from three-point range. That's unreal.
I wonder how he got away from Bruce Pearl. But they identified, Oliver Purnell said he was the best high school shooter that he saw that year. They got in early on him, and they got the commitment.
Henyard using his size to post up Oglesby, and there's the putback by Thompson.
Well, many feel that Deon Thompson is a huge key to this team, that when he's aggressive offensively and defensively, he is really a positive. Nice job on the offensive glass that time.
He has had some turnover issues, as Thompson, not necessarily being as strong with the ball as Roy Williams would like, but in the last 4 games, he's only turned it over 5 times. Shot clock down to 10. This is the first time I've even mentioned the shot clock.
I'm stunned.
Rivers over Green. And it's a violation because it only drew backboard.
Well, that was a very, very good defensive stand by Green that time, really keeping his stance and making Rivers shoot a very awkward jump shot.
North Carolina going to its bench. Will Graves will get into the game for the first time. Rivers also sits down. And David Potter checking in for Clemson, number 15 in white.
Potter's a guy who really stepped up in the absence of Sam Perry, who had a knee injury, came in, gave them a nice lift offensively.
Green has been outstanding this year for Roy Williams in every phase of the game. Almost like a 6th starter, Roy told us earlier today.
Graves a little out of control off the dribble that time with the turnover. Good job of sealing the baseline defensively.
Only one of those for each team so far. Considering the frenetic pace of this game, it's really being well played on offensive ends of the floor. Potter for 3. Hansbrough undercut that time. It'll be a push. Foul going against Clemson. And Trevor Booker.
Yeah, Booker that time got caught underneath. Good call by the referees. Trying to get possession. Working for the offensive glass. So Hansbrough locking up inside. And there's the little grab as Booker was going down. Good call by Ray Tilly on the weak side.
What a lesson DeMonte Stitt is learning, trying to check Ty Lawson tonight. Welcome to the Atlantic Coast Conference, young man.
It's just another one in a series of firsts for freshmen. Their first league contest. Always an eye-opener.
Thompson backing in on Mays. No double team. Booker the rebound.
Now, Deon Thompson isn't a guy you need to double team down on the low post. Hansbrough is.
And Clemson may be one of the few teams, Mike, that won't always double team Hansbrough in this league.
No, you'll be selective. And so far, we have not called Tyler Hansbrough's name out a lot offensively. So they've done a nice job of limiting his touches.
Ty Lawson gets the foul, his first. He leaves the game, and Quentin Thomas coming in. Number 11, the senior from Oakland, California, has had that ankle problem that we mentioned a bit earlier. So let's see how he responds Not knowing, I think Roy Williams is very curious as to just how healthy that ankle is in tonight's game, and he's got to check DeMontez Stitt.
Well, the rest of the year, they need him to step up. With Bobby Fraser's injury, Quentin Thomas has an opportunity to come in and give this team a lift as a backup point.
Off the pick. That was a tough shot by Stitt.
I think you need to put pressure off him on the dribble, Tim, to test that injury, see how that ankle is. You bail him out by taking the jump shot.
Hansbrough on the blocks. Oh, what a nice jump hook on the block by Tyler Hansbrough.
Right, and look at Trevor Booker run down the other end to try to put some pressure on Hansbrough. That's one of the first scoring opportunities Hansbrough's had in this game. 4 points for him.
The other one coming on a putback. Mays working it on Green. Got the help that time from Graves with the rejection. And a little bumping and a 3-second violation against the Tigers. You know, you pointed this out earlier. He did not play in one game earlier this year against Ohio State. Ty Lawson. Look at the difference in productivity.
Well, and to me, I judge a point guard's production by team field goal percentage. You look at it, it was a season low of 66%, only 38% from the floor. You look how well this team scores. I believe a lot of it is the way Ty Lawson runs the offense.
Hansbrough may be the player of the year, but Lawson the most valuable commodity to North Carolina.
Most important. I really think, you know, without him, it's really tough sledding.
Graves, guarded closely by Oglesby, pulled down by Booker. Well, they are really locking up Oglesby from deep. There's a hand in his face every time he touches it. And a turnover, the end result.
And you look at Marcus Ginyard. He started out with KC Rivers on the perimeter defensively. Then he gets Oglesby. He gets the other team's best shooter night in and night out.
Cliff Hammonds has come back onto the floor now for the Tigers. Raymond Sykes also in. Oglesby sits down, as does David Potter for Clemson. Here comes some full court pressure. Now you see the difference when Ty Lawson is out of the game.
Irrepressible. With him in, irrepressible.
And a steal. Hammonds gives it up to Stitt, and he's fouled by Green. Timeout. Roy Williams' club really being pushed early on, but Tyler Hansbrough usually has the answer when you get it to him down low. 16-15 North Carolina. Oliver Purnell has had success against the Heels. In fact, the Tigers won only 10 games in his first year, and one of them was against number 12 North Carolina. The Tigers hit 11 of 13 threes, including 5 by Shawan Robinson, who scored a career-high 24. That team would go on eventually to win a national championship. But Clemson's now talking about sustained success, and that's what tonight's game and this version of the Clemson Tigers are all about.
Well, Tim, one of the things we talked about with the game plan early on was confident start, and I think that Clemson has accomplished that. One, not only think that they can play with North Carolina at this point, but that they can win the game. And Oliver Purnell told us before, and he said, hey, we're coming into this game thinking that we should win, that it's on our home court, and you know, we should take care of business.
And a big night for DeMontez Stitt, North Carolina High School Player of the Year a season ago. Ginyard missed the layup. Out of bounds to the Tigers.
Got to use the backboard in that situation always. It's so hard to lay it over the top of the rim. It looked like he got in between dunking it and laying it in.
Stitt just fell in love with Clemson, South Carolina when he came and met with head coach Oliver Purnell. And he has struck up an outstanding relationship with Hammonds, Cliff Hammonds. His work ethic has been so strong. There he is, keeping the ball alive that time, even after a miss when driving to the basket. Never gives up on a play. Booker got a mismatch, gives it up for Hammonds. Not there. Oh, look at Booker outwork Green for the ball. And a foul will go against Danny Green.
Well, that's the effect of Tyler Hansbrough being out of the game right now. And you've got both him and Lawson on the bench, so an opportunity for Clemson to take advantage of those situations. The good kick out inside, and then Booker never gave up on the play. Really no light blue shirts around the ball that time. That's why he was able to track it down. This group for North Carolina right now, Tim, has to rebound as a unit, but Hansbrough will be back in the game here quickly.
One of the issues that Clemson has, Mike, and we should mention it, they have been pitiful at the line during Oliver Purnell's career here. I mean, they are around 250th or so this year. They have been down in the 300s among the Division 1A basketball programs, and they've got to find a way to get the freebies to go down, particularly against teams like North Carolina.
Well, and better, and Booker's usually a 75% shooter, but the 2 misses there hurt. Stitt is up in the 80s as well, so pretty good. They've got some guys who can knock down shots.
Thomas turns it over, palming the basketball. That's the 3rd turnover for the Tar Heels. It just seems when we see Clemson, oftentimes it's against high caliber competition. And, you know, the atmosphere is at a fever pitch. Sometimes that affects your free throw shooting.
How about this stat, Timmy? In 37 ACC openers, 30 of the teams they have played have been nationally ranked.
Yeah.
I mean, that talks about the strength of the conference going back to the 60s.
Rivers banks it in. Oh, the bank is open late on ACC Sunday Night Hoops in Clemson.
Love it when that ATM pops up.
Rivers will take it any way he can get it. He has 8 points. Thompson, nice feathery touch. Baseline for him. He has 4. Stitt, he's fouled. He is relentlessly going after the rack every time he comes down the floor.
And you know why that happened, Timmy? That time, Lawson, and we talked about his defensive skills sometimes on the ball a little lacking. He went for the steal in the backcourt, came up empty, and Stitt had a break situation.
Let's go over to Jen Hildreth. Jen?
Well, Tim, I talked to Oliver Purnell about DeMontez Stitt, the freshman point guard, and I said, how is he now compared to the beginning of the season? He said he is so much further along, especially though the area is his decision-making, knowing when he needs to attack the basket. You've seen him very aggressive attacking, and I have to add, you guys mentioned he's from North Carolina, little extra chip on the shoulder. This kid had his room painted Carolina blue in high school, okay? He changed all that when he came to Clemson.
Love and happiness has been found in South Carolina as he takes the charge. DeMontez Stitt on the seat of his pants collects the charge here from Ty Lawson.
Yeah, that's a good job stepping in that time. Guessing on the right hand, and you see the shoulder getting lowered. That time Lawson, one of those few times out of control in the paint area.
One of the other aspects of this Clemson team is the number of charges they'll take. Hammonds high off the glass. Cliff Hammonds.
You have to understand Hammonds is a lefty, and you want to try to limit his ability to get to that side of the floor. A little lapse by Ellington.
Tigers lead by 4. Lawson now playing with 2 fouls. And he goes baseline drive to bring the deficit down to 2.
Playing with 2 fouls and still pretty aggressive on that drive.
Sykes has his pocket picked by Ginyard. An outstanding defensive player.
You can't be lazy with any pass around number 1 from North Carolina.
Lawson. Ginyard the rebound. Oh, nice move past Stitt, but he had it taken away, stripped. And another return strip by Carolina. Boy, deflections in abundance. Ellington is fouled. Stitt got him, it seemed, with an arm as well as a piece of the ball. DeMontez Stitt does get the foul, his second.
That time the turnover happens because Stitt caught the ball in traffic and then tried to go around his back. There were just too many bodies and feet in the way, and North Carolina gets a break with the turnover, quickly coming back the other way.
Ellington has been scoreless from 3-point range in 3 of North Carolina's last 7 games. Second on the team in scoring, 5th in the ACC overall. And like anyone, he can have slumps. There are times when he launches shots you almost think it has to go in. He is a very effective shooter once he warms up and gets a little confidence.
Well, and I think that he needs to be more aggressive, and he has been this year in attacking the basket. And you talk about last year, Tim, and you look, his production, especially from the perimeter, waned as the season went on, and that's natural for a freshman not knowing the rigors of a season. But I think that he's been more assertive in getting to the basket.
Nice block out by Ellington. Thompson. Oh, a nice defensive play to give yourself up by Hammonds was not going to allow Thompson the open slam. Thursday, FSN College Hoops presented by KFC returns. Fourth-ranked Washington State takes on number 22 USC, an early season showdown between Pac-10 title contenders. Coverage begins Thursday at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific in high definition right here on FSN.
Tim, one of the things I like about that play, it was good hustle by Hammonds getting back to not give up a layup, but especially with Thompson, who shoots a low percentage from the free throw line. Make him get there and earn it at the line. He misses the first one, and that's why Thompson a little bit of a liability at the end of games, and that's why you'll see Danny Green at the 4.
Carolina with 5 unanswered after trailing by 4, 23-22. Oglesby, not this time. Ginyard. And another outstanding defensive play by Casey Rivers. All leather. And the alternating possession will leave the ball on this side of the floor to Carolina.
I think, Tim, that Clemson has done a nice job in this game so far in defensive transition, getting back, stopping plays. That is solid defense by Casey Rivers. Good position inside.
Hammonds now trying to fight through a pick by Hansbrough. Thompson. Tap out by Hansbrough to Lawson. Nice presence of mind by Tyler Hansbrough.
That's a good play. If you can't get it, tap it to one of your teammates.
Off the curl. Potter leaves it. Ugly looking shot that time by Mays. And you know what Carolina does with ugly shots? They take it back in a hurry. Ellington answers.
Turn them into pretty layups down the other end of the floor. Right now, the half-court defense of North Carolina is stiffening over the last 5-6 minutes.
Potter, Hammonds, Oglesby, Mays, and Booker, the 5 of the 4 for Clemson. And Thompson bumps Mays and picks up the foul.
I'm winded calling this game so far. I mean, not nearly doing as much work as you are. Wow.
It is stem to stern, end to end. And the number of deflections, if you're going to make a cross-court pass, Mike, you're in real trouble.
No,
if you think it's going to come a diagonal pass at or around midcourt where the Tiger Paw is, forget about it.
A short, crisp pass to a guy wearing the same color jersey is a good thing in this game for both teams.
Sykes leaves the game. And Casey Rivers back on the floor for Clemson.
On Hammonds now with this lineup handling the point for Clemson, but they've got Rivers and Oglesby, two guys who can really stretch the defense offensively.
Again, 1 of 2 at the free throw line. Clemson sub 50% so far in this game at the charity stripe. Thompson takes Mays in a man-to-man situation with no help and delivers it. Timeout, Oliver Purnell. North Carolina beginning to flex its muscles a bit. Opens up its largest lead of the night. 29-23, 7:45 remaining. And we are staying here. It's only a 30-second commercial, so we are timeout, 30-second timeout. So no commercial necessary. Let's talk a little bit about Bobby Fraser for a moment, Mike. He actually is dressed in a very, very Natalie attired suit. There's the injury against Nevada. And the way that young man got up, walked off the floor, I think most people thought, oh, he'll be okay. And then they found out later by the trainer, hey, the ACL's completely blown out. He won't have the surgery done until another week. I believe this coming week he's going to have it done.
They want to wait for the swelling to go down, and it seems like it's such a different injury from back 20 years ago. But he was riding a stationary bike today, and they expect a full recovery. Now his sister does some rehab work, so he's been getting some special treatment at home. She's a physical therapist, so certainly that's going to help in his recovery.
Out of the timeout, Clemson does not get a good look. Jeray Grant is in the game for the first time, number 45 for Clemson. And now Oglesby's got numbers. But North Carolina recovers defensively. Well, they have not allowed number 22 to pull the trigger from beyond the arc one time. Booker, again, tough shots being forced by the Carolina interior against Clemson.
Well, I still think he needs to take one more dribble and advance at Hansbrough, that time going away from the basket.
Hansbrough trying to stay with it on the offensive end. Second chance points now becoming a factor for the Heels. Thompson rejected by Booker. Saves it to Oglesby. Tremendous hustle play by Trevor Booker. Oglesby. Nothing coming easily now for the Tigers offensively. Thomas. Bad shot there.
Well, he made a mistake. He thought that Hansbrough was going to be open, and he left the floor without an outlet.
Hammonds, Rivers, Booker, Oglesby, and Jere Wright, the five on the floor. There's Wright, has it knocked away again. Green has a size advantage, trying to use it to get to the basket, unable to connect, and now a lot of empty trips for both teams.
Yeah, after a hot start, I think the defense has finally caught up with the offense.
Well, Booker is really huffing and puffing.
Well, he took a hard spill on that last one. He got the ball back, but he landed flat on his stomach.
I think the next time out for Clemson needs to be more than a 30. Rivers. Well, if you're looking for one offensive constant for Clemson, it's this man, K.C. Rivers.
And that's the lift that Clemson needed at this point. Again, Ty Lawson out of the game. A little bit different team out there for North Carolina. A little bit shakier ball handling team.
Hammonds with a pick. Just like that, we're tied.
Interesting, Roy Williams just kind of standing there measuring how his team reacts to this. A little adversity on the road.
Wright will pick up the foul against Hansbrough. We were talking about Booker and a floor burn, giving it up. Hammonds with the steal, and K.C. Rivers igniting Clemson on a 6-0 run.
Clemson coming back in a hurry to tie it up 29 each. Trevor Booker, an outstanding rebounder, and that's not a fluke. 17 is the ACC season high. The block inside, he's done it defensively, climbing all over the offensive glass as well. Second in the conference, Timmy, in rebounding at just under 10 per game. Showing great hustle, the block here, and then this one gets his team a layup down the other end of the floor.
Yeah, and a much-deserved rest after the timeout. And Jen Hildreth has more on Trevor Booker as he gets his breath back.
No surprise, Tim, to see him on the bench. I've been watching him. Think about the toll it takes on someone to try to guard Tyler Hansbrough all game. You know, not only Hansbrough affects the game, not only offensively with what he does, but the way he makes defenders work against him. I watched Booker down here. He'd work hard to box him out, or he'd work hard offensively, and then he wouldn't follow up for the rebound. It's like it takes all he can do just to stay with him for part of the time.
And you think about the effectiveness of Hansbrough on this game, and we haven't called his name that often, and yet he's well on his way to a double-double, 6 points and 5 rebounds. Oglesby.
He is in range when he gets out of the locker room.
Yeah,
Don't be shocked about anywhere that he rises up.
We're told the green light is given from about the tiger paw that extends from midcourt. Oglesby lives it for Sykes. Oh, a nice dime drop by the sharpshooter Oglesby.
And that's what a great offensive player can do, draw attention and give jumpers to other players.
Potter with the outlet. Hammonds leaves it for Oglesby. Back to Hammonds for 3. Thompson, the rebound for North Carolina. Lawson rejected by Sykes. Timeout. Terrence is a triple threat from downtown. Oh, but he can leave it for a deuce by dropping the dime. We're tied at 31. A look at our World of Warcraft game summary, and North Carolina has not scored a field goal in the last 3.5 minutes. So the defensive pressure has been amped up by Clemson.
And a lot of half-court work, both teams shooting at 37%. But this is a critical stage for Oliver Purnell's team. right in this game, right where they want to be. But North Carolina is so explosive, you don't want to give them a little spurt going into halftime to gain some momentum.
And how many times do we see the great teams pull that off?
Yeah, last 2 minutes, last 3 minutes of the half.
Ask Boston College about what Kansas did in about a 5-minute stretch at the Conti Forum over the weekend.
Full zone defense now by the Tigers.
Nice pass. Oh, Green inside to Copeland, who just got into the game. Mike Copeland, the junior from Winston-Salem. R.J. Reynolds High School, his first bucket.
And you can't make that pass against the 2-3 zone. There's got to be too many hands in the way. That was a defensive lapse by Clemson, not real active in that zone.
Here's Oglesby. He pulls up in a hurry. Oh, the iron unkind to the Tennessean. Had it halfway down the cylinder. Loose ball retrieved by Copeland. Green is open for the tray. Rebound to Potter. Boy, he's been very good on the glass, David Potter, sophomore from Severn, Maryland.
Well, you got Booker and Mays out of the game, a little bit smaller lineup for the Tigers, so they have to rebound collectively.
Oglesby, try again. Third time's a charm from downtown.
I guarantee he's not going to stop shooting.
Ellington answers.
A great kick-out pass that time. Ellington had a terrific look.
There's Oglesby again. They left him. Lawson, smallest man on the floor, collects the rebound. Green on the offensive glass. Boy, what a tough play by Danny Green.
He's had some injury issues last year, but he is really putting together a terrific season. Talk about another guy, Roy Williams basically said today he has 6 starters. Danny Green is one of them, even though he comes off the bench.
Rivers. Well, if you start missing too many perimeter jumpers, then you got numbers the other way. But Copeland thought he had lost it. Lawson so quick he was able to run it down. Green off the front iron. Oglesby, no-look pass to Sykes. A little too low, taken away by Green. Hansbrough really wants it. Poor pass inside by Copeland. Taken away by Rivers. On the blow-by, he's fouled. Wave off the putback. Rivers was fouled, taking it to the rack. And coming up at halftime, ACC Sunday night's halftime show. The FSN Final Score will have the latest highlights from around the nation. We'll look at Clemson's upset of Carolina in the '96 ACC tournament. G-Man and I will recap the first half. That's all coming up on the ACC Sunday Night Hoops halftime show.
You could see at the free throw line, Casey Rivers bent over, grabbing his shorts, trying to get a little breather at the free throw line before he gets his shots up. And that's what the pace of playing against North Carolina does to you, Tim. It gets into your lungs, it gets into your legs, and then it gets into your shot.
Wholesale substitutions being made by North Carolina. And Sykes and Potter leave the game for Clemson as well. Sounds like we're at the bus stop. Now Oglesby leaves. Already a fan favorite. Rivers has been the X factor, though, Mike, for Clemson. Whenever they've needed a bucket, he's made a run. 13 points, 5 boards, 5 of 9 from the floor for number 1, who has the ball now.
And their season turned last year, Tim, when he got hurt. That was a big thing for them to overcome, and they never recovered from it. But he is having a solid season.
On the offensive glass, Sam Perry just into the game. The senior had the injury issues that you mentioned. Not there for Graves. Number 1 launches quickly. There's Booker on the glass. 39-38, Clemson by 1. Foul picked up by Perry, coming over to give a little defensive pressure. Fans don't like that one.
You know, Timmy, sometimes Clemson's most effective pass is a missed shot, and they just climb all over the offensive glass. This is a great effort inside by Mays and Booker. Thompson nailed to the floor that time, never really got into the action.
You see the second chance opportunities really becoming a factor for both teams.
Well, and you talked about the 1 and 2 rank of this team in so many categories. That includes offensive rebounding.
I believe we may have had a line violation. Ray Natili spotted it. Yep, Deion Thompson guilty. So the Tigers get it back with 41.3 remaining in the opening half. Leading by 1. Now this one has lived up to the billing, hasn't it?
So far, first 20 minutes, solid, both teams.
Shot clock winding down. You figure Rivers would be the guy on the floor. They'd love to have the basket in his sights. Let's see what he does with it here. The shot clock at 6. There he goes. Hello. 15 in the game for KC Rivers. A near steal and Graves would have counted had it gone. Wow, what a start to the ACC regular season for these two teams. Let's go over to Jen Hildreth.
Well, Coach Burnell, we knew this game would be fast-paced, up and down, but what have you seen from your team so far with the lead here at the break?
Well, I'm glad we hung in there. We could have folded a couple of times. Carolina tried to hit us with a couple of knockout punches. It's going to be a game of attrition. Both teams are going to get tired. We've got to keep our poise.
Anything specific you look for in the second half?
Go inside, go inside, go inside.
Very specific. Thank you very much, Coach. Tim?
All right, Jen, they finished Clemson with a 7-0 run, and they have the lead. The FSN final score will be next with scores from around the country. We'll take a look at the 96 ACC tournament matchup between these two. A lot more coming up on the ACC Sunday Night Hoops halftime show. We'll be right back. 41-38, Clemson with the lead over #1 North Carolina. ACC Sunday Night Hoops rolling along, and we do mean rolling very quickly, Mike Jaminski. It has just been as entertaining as either of us thought it would be.
No question about the pace of the game, one that both teams fell into easily. The offense a little ahead at the first, then in the middle part, defense stiffened a little bit.
Offense has got a little tired.
But still a very, very well-played game. Ty Lawson almost unpressable, getting through all the defense, scoring a three-point play there. And then a nice tap out by Hansbrough, the mid-range jump shot. He's got 8 points on 3 of 7 shooting. KC Rivers has been a stalwart, 15 points in this game. Knocks down the three-point shot. He's got the ability to put it on the floor. 6'5", 220 pounds. Very strong at getting inside.
It could be who's got the most wind at the end, particularly with the pace of play we've got going on. Stay tuned. ACC Sunday Night Hoops is presented by Pizza Hut. Want great pizza? Get the new Pizza Mia pizzas. $5 each every day. Get more, not less, only from Pizza Hut. And brought to you in part by World of Warcraft. Download the free demo at warcraft.com. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, Jen Hildreth, and Oliver's posse all on hand as we look at the World of Warcraft halftime numbers. Anything jump out at you besides the lack of efficiency from downtown?
Well, points off turnovers, I'm sure Roy Williams talked about taking better care of the ball. 9 turns at the half. They had 22 here last year. And then also, 3 of 15 shooting for Clemson, a concern from behind the arc. There, Tyler Hansbrough, they really kept him under control. You can see only 3 field goal attempts. More importantly, Tim, only 2 free throw attempts. He usually gets to the line 10 or 11 times.
I think your point made about, 12 minutes deep into the first half, Mike. The best pass seems to be a missed shot. Really rings true. These two teams on the offensive glass, as well as any two that you'll see in college basketball today. Ellington, really well defended by Hammonds, but Genu gets the offensive rebound. And another second chance opportunity missed by Thompson.
Well, let's see. Oliver Purnell talked about get it inside, get it inside, get it inside. Let's see if they can attack the paint.
Schmidt got it inside. He got it inside.
That puts pressure on Hansbrough to defend. That was great penetration and dish.
Booker with 6. Ellington for 3. Ginyard the offensive rebound. Oh, nice look. As he finds cutting to the basket, backdoor Ellington.
Marcus Ginyard is an excellent offensive rebounder for this team. They've got to put a body on him and not concentrate on just the bigs.
Mays works inside to Booker. That's an offensive foul. Second foul on Trevor Booker.
Look at this two-man game. Hansbrough comes over to help out on Booker that time, and just Thompson a little bit too slow. Quick shot, I thought, right there, but Ginyard really bailed his team out with a nice dish.
And on the other end, Ellington knocks it home. 13 in the game for him. Rivers, a floater. Hansbrough retrieves it for North Carolina. Lawson a blow by. So quick, Ty Lawson. He has 10.
Right, and Oliver Purnell talked about it, a war of attrition, and here is in the second half where the game and the pace of North Carolina usually pays dividends.
Rivers, he is just relentless. How he beats defenders off the bounce.
But you got to keep him off his left hand, Tim. Somehow make him go right.
Ellington. Well, Ginyard kept it alive again. Booker comes down gingerly on that ankle.
Yeah, tweaked it a little bit, but seems to be able to run it off.
Mays got a double team that time. Gave it up to Hammonds. He rattles it home.
Really nice in and out game that time, and that gave Hammonds a good look. The double team on Mays gave him a shot. And just to look at that, all out front by Hammonds to try to keep the ball out of Lawson's hands.
Thompson. 48-46, Deon Thompson, the sophomore from Torrance, California, with 9 for North Carolina.
And when he's measured, Tim, when he takes his time and has his feet underneath him, he's had some nice offensive moves down in the low post.
Hammonds, a baseline blow by.
Right now, Clemson's perimeter players off the dribble, able to get to the rim when they want.
Ellington, a fadeaway J from downtown.
Well, he's got a pretty shot, pretty form that time.
Booker has his head up over Hansbrough. Tyler got lost looking the wrong way that time. Sort of like a pass to the off shoulder by a quarterback. The receiver knew where it was, the defender didn't. And a double dribble by Carolina, their 10th turnover.
But Timmy, that play is forced because Booker just flat out sprinted Hansbrough down the floor. There you see the look up right there. Nice over the head pass. Gather yourself and make a measured shot inside.
Points in the paint, almost a dead heat between the two. Let's go over to Jen Hildreth as Booker's being looked at. Jen?
Well, Booker and the big guy is going to be so important for Clemson, because when I talked to Roy Williams coming back in after halftime, he said they out-physicaled us, and you see Clemson getting to the rack every time, even on the boards. He needs to see a better effort from his team on the glass.
Well, DeMontez Stitt got it into the lane that time. That's just his 4th point, but he's delivered the goods. And he'll pick up the blocking foul this time, trying to check Lawson. He did draw a charge in the first half, and Oliver Purnell disagrees with the whistle there. That's number 3 on Stitt. Just over 4 minutes gone. Clemson extending its lead to 5. Well, last year in Charlottesville, Sean Singletary was the Cavaliers star against the then number 8 Blue Devils. He tied the game on this shot in regulation. Then in overtime, with the score at 66, he did it again, leading his team into the NCAAs and on to the second round. Singletary gets another crack, as does Dave Lato at Duke Cameron Indoor Stadium next Saturday on ACC Sunday night. Next Sunday on ACC Sunday Night Hoops. Can't get ahead of myself. You'll see them, the Virginia Cavaliers against the Duke Blue Devils. And Kyle Singler had 14 points tonight for Duke in their win against Cornell. A little tougher outing for them tonight in that non-conference game than I think Coach K might have expected. That was the first game of our ACC Sunday night doubleheader. Lawson, a little out of control that time. Could be some moisture on the floor too as he took steps.
And Tim, we've seen that. I mean, he came very close to getting another offensive foul in the prior possession. That time a little out of control off the dribble. His third turnover in the game, 11th for the Tar Heels that time. And he's really tried to be aggressive and put himself in a position to turn it over.
Hammonds now operating more at the point with Stitt out with 3. And you missed the three-pointer, and it turns into a layup on the other end.
Well, not only missed, but I think you surprised your teammates with that shot as well. And there is no chance to get back defensively there.
Sykes is on the floor along with Potter, Terrence Oglesby, and Rivers, number 1, being checked by Ginyard to no one's surprise. Oglesby for the tray. Air ball. Sykes trying to run it down, but the ball had hit the end line.
And he's definitely a guy you cannot go under the screen on, regardless of where it is on the floor. You've got to fight over. He will launch.
And Oliver Purnell doesn't want to go too long without DeMontez Stitt on the floor. He's coming back onto the floor with 14:55 remaining. Booker also checks in after having his ankle retaped. We'll see how Trevor Booker responds after leaving the game with that tweaked ankle.
You're going to give me an opportunity here. Stitt on Ellington to get inside to number 22.
Ginyard over Sykes. Sykes deflected it. Out of bounds. Control to North Carolina. 16 to shoot.
A force that time. We've already seen Sykes with a block inside, and sometimes you have to take, most of the time you have to take what the game gives you. Ginyard a little bit of a force.
Hansbrough with determination, but the ball was deflected again.
Sykes from the backside, and a little bit of frustration, I think, for Hansbrough to try to get a shot off.
Booker over Green. Pretty good lift on that dunk, but he does favor it as he goes back defensively.
Yeah, he's probably got a retape on the sidelines, but still loose enough to get up.
Ellington, speaking of getting up and in from downtown.
Well, his shot has looked solid tonight, especially from beyond the arc. North Carolina doesn't make a ton of threes. It's not a big part of their offense, but he's certainly a weapon from the outside.
Potter over Ginyard. I tell you, I love these wing players Oliver Purnell has. In the 4+ years he's been here, he now has the kind of team that he always wanted to bring to Clemson. It reminds me a lot of his Dayton clubs that he had before he got the Clemson job. Tie ball, Stitt going after Hansbrough, and the arrow is to North Carolina.
Right, but you know what, Terry? And Clemson's doing a terrific job. Roy Williams cannot be very happy with his wing defense, especially off the dribble. And here's the point guard taking on the center inside. 2 for a takedown.
Roy Williams inducted into the Hall of Fame this past April. So very deserving. All of the great teams, National Coach of the Year 5 times at Kansas. Already a national championship at North Carolina. You know, if you look at the sheer numbers, Mike, by the time his career is done at North Carolina, he actually may be eclipsing what Dean Smith accomplished. And I know that sounds like a real tall order, but it's really true. If he remains healthy and wants to continue coaching for an extended period of time, I mean, the sky's the limit. The blue heavens may be the limit.
Think about the fact, I mean, he's 120 and 30. He wins 80% of his games.
It's amazing. Danny Green with a soft touch. Now, obviously, we're talking about in total in his career. You take into account all the great years at Kansas to go along with North Carolina.
Now you see North Carolina team in his zone in an effort to try to protect some people and protect their fouls, and Roy Williams has had to go to that recently.
Lawson. Boy, Hansbrough is really being blocked out on this end of the floor by Clemson's wing players. Stitt almost lost it, saved it to Hammonds.
But Stitt has got a nice safety net out there with Hammonds, because Hammonds can play the point as well. So anytime he gets in trouble, looks over to his mentor, and it's nice to have that comfort blanket out there.
Hansbrough really getting physical and chippy. Little chippy now with Ian Trevor Booker, and some frustration beginning to show on the strong man from Poplar Bluff.
Well, and Booker not backing down at all. Working inside, trying to get position, and good deep position that time. I wouldn't be surprised to see the whistles come a little bit quicker here during the next 2 minutes. The referees maybe trying to grab a hold of this game. It's getting a little chippy on both sides, as you said.
Perry missed an easy one. Graves there defending him. Booker setting the high pick for Stitt. Clemson by 2. Booker.
The two-man game that time, and Hansbrough reluctant to come out. Booker showing some range.
12 in the game for Trevor Booker. Thomas got Booker airborne, collected the foul. Not quite 8 minutes gone here in the second half from Littlejohn Coliseum in Clemson, South Carolina. Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, Jen Hildreth. Number 1 North Carolina being taken to the limit by number 19 Clemson. Tigers leading by 4. Sykes is coming back into the game for Trevor Booker, and whatever was wrong with that ankle, I believe those elbows inside from Hansbrough ignited him just a bit. He's been getting vertical pretty well in the last couple of minutes.
Amazing what adrenaline will do for an injury. And, he had just tweaked it a little bit. Nice play by Sykes.
How about that athleticism?
They have done as good a job on Tyler Hansbrough at this point as probably any team that they've played this year.
Well, they've made him almost look normal. You know, Stitt lost it, but recovered. Rivers challenging Graves, and Graves will pick up the personal. Timeout. 60-56, Clemson by 4. Clemson with a 4-point lead. You might be wondering, when was the last time here in Littlejohn an undefeated number 1 team came in? Well, it was in January of 1980. They had a big man. I don't know that they called him Psycho T or Psycho G, but Mike Jaminski, along with Gene Banks and company, Larry Nance playing in that game for Clemson, and the Tigers took you guys out. You scored, what, 30?
30
wow.
and 10 is actually the only time in Clemson history 2 visiting players have scored 30 points. Gene Banks had 31 in that game. I had 30 and lost in overtime. But there were 14,000 people in this building, and capacity was 11. The fire marshal would have stroked out if he walked in. But
by the way, you made the rafters here as well as Cameron Indoor Stadium.
I think I'm the only player in the league who's up in 2 rafters. Still honored about that.
Tree Rollins thanks you, by the way.
Absolutely.
By the way, you've still not forgiven your old coach, Bill Foster, for not letting you take the last shot, right?
Yeah, he drew it up for a freshman, Chip England. It was his only shot that he took all game. I'm still bitter.
Box score, Jaminski. 61-56, Clemson by 5. See what I have to put up with every week, folks? Nice look by Thompson, feeding Ginyard, driving to the basket.
Well, we talked about it. Thompson is going to be a big key in this game, not only on the glass, but he's made some nice moves offensively, and he drew the defense that time and made a nice play. What you have to put up with on a weekly basis.
Rivers! Green. Mays wanted the charge, but it was a flop. Good no call by Ray Natilli.
If you're gonna get that call, you better get it. You can't flop. Danny Green shooting too well from the floor. That's like a layup for him.
Stitt runs the curl. Nice feed underneath. And Graves coming over with Danny Green. Foul picked up actually by Green. Let's take a look at our TGI Fridays trivia question. Who was the last Clemson player to win the ACC Rookie of the Year award? They may have one this season, too. Montez Stitt will certainly be a candidate. We'll let you think about that.
We talked about attrition, Steve, or Tim, I'm sorry, and James Mays just coming back from that injury. He's a guy whose legs may really tire here in the last 10 minutes of this game. He's not used to big minutes. He had 18 points his last game out, feeling a little bit better, but I don't know that he's 100%.
Green takes a seat along with Graves. Tyler Hansbrough back on the floor.
With starters back on the floor for Carolina.
Yep, Ellington, Ginyard, Thompson, all of them. Ty Lawson operating at the point. Tigers by 5, just over 10 minutes remaining in our matchup. ACC Sunday Night Hoops doubleheader. Ellington is fouled by Hammonds. It will be a 3-shot foul, and we gave you a moment. Do you know the answer to the TGI Fridays trivia question?
Yes, I did, but I looked ahead.
Greg Buckner, 1995. Well, Rick Barnes had some outstanding teams here, as everyone recalls.
And he used to have a heated rivalry with North Carolina.
Ooh, did he ever?
Yeah, he and Coach Smith didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Ellington now up to 21 points with a third free throw coming.
Well, that's a tough matchup. Cliff Hammonds is a good defender, but he's giving away a couple of inches to Ellington, and that's helped him. And Hammonds having to fight through a couple screens on that last possession. You really bail him out. You've got to put pressure on the jump shot, but not foul a three-point shooter.
Number 1 North Carolina trailing by 2. Oglesby back in, so look out for a quick green light for him. But North Carolina's done an excellent job of defending him. He's only got 1 3 to go down. 1 for 5 from downtown. An air ball most recently. Ellington checking him off the ball. Stitt gives it to him and he drives in. Does not fall. Again an offensive rebound. Mays keeping it alive and then picks up the foul in frustration as Hansbrough got the rebound and Mays picks up the personal. That's his second. Tyler Hansbrough, we touched on it a bit earlier. Frustration, no points in this half, and I don't know that I've ever seen him look as average in any game that I've witnessed since he's been at North Carolina as he has tonight.
A lot of big active bodies inside. James Mays, Trevor Booker really doing a nice job on him.
Turnover, Ginyard looking for that backdoor cut, a little too strong with the delivery. And this is that area where if Lawson's not in there, and of course now he is, you wonder about Quentin Thomas's health, the fact that Bobby Frazier's not available. The rotation for Roy Williams is not what he'd normally have at this time of the season in the ACC.
Well, and hence some zone, too, playing and trying to give guys a break. It's something that he doesn't normally do a lot of, but may be forced to do more of it because of those injuries.
Stitt got bumped, counted, and a foul. Lawson bumped him on the way up.
Well, Roy Williams talked about it. Sometimes Lawson has lapses defensively. And this is a tough shot from Stitt because he's a right-handed player going left and getting hit. A lot of strength to finish that play, especially this late in the game.
Could not get the old-fashioned three-pointer, though. Lawson deflected by Mays. Rejected.
But he got way too deep that time with nobody on him defensively.
There's the dump down. Thompson with a hold on Mays as the entry pass was made. Second foul on Thompson.
And look, you've got to get to Lawson, and look how deep he is before anybody realizes where it has been. And Mays makes a terrific defensive play to bail his team out.
Oglesby will trigger it. Shooting in a bit of hard luck tonight, and then there's the easy one on the other end. Well, you can almost call it an automatic. Miss a 3 ball, and an easy deuce is coming back at you when you're playing North Carolina.
Especially from the side or the corner, Tim. I mean, that's just the first pass to a fast break with this ball club. If Oglesby's out front and takes that, he's got a chance, and people have a chance to get back.
Rivers.
Why is anybody other than Rivers shooting the basketball right now?
He has 24, and the lead is back to 5. K.C. Rivers, junior from the Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina. Hansgrove. Let's see if he begins to assert himself, and if North Carolina looks to find him.
Well, you're not going to shut a great player out. He's going to be a factor in this game.
Hooker, too strong and well defended by Hansgrove. Lawson again, so fast. Fouled by Oglesby. Is this a screen or what? Hello, put your pants on. 70-67, Clemson over #1 North Carolina. Kick off your football weekend on Friday with Pro Football Preview. NFL insider Jay Glazer, joined by former NFL stars Tim Brown, Eddie George, and Jason Sehorn as they break down the upcoming playoff games. Pro Football Preview, Friday at 11, only on FSN. Check your local listings for the start time in your area. Well, then there were 6 undefeateds, and among that group, interestingly, Ole Miss, the only blemish on the Clemson schedule to this point, delivered by Andy Kennedy's team. Vanderbilt had to come from behind to win this past weekend.
How about Tony Bennett out of Washington State getting it done, following up last year's terrific season with an undefeated start.
I believe Ole Miss has got to play at Tennessee this week against Bruce Pearl's team, so that'll be a tough out for the Rebels. But boy, what a job Andy Kennedy has done in a very short time in Oxford. Tigers by 1. Even the great players can have a difficult time and then suddenly show up at winning time. And this is that particular time of the game for Tyler Hansgrove. Oh, what a move inside. I mean, a great duck under by Mays.
And Hansgrove, you've got to come in and help your teammate out, but he did a nice job keeping his pivot foot that time.
To Thompson, Mays rejected it.
Well, it is tough to get 2 points inside with Mays and Sykes looking around. They've done a great job helping each other.
Well, this combination of those two plus Trevor Booker, who has been absolutely a workaholic and playing with some pain and a nagging ankle problem since early in this half, they have been quite a trifecta inside. And that time a turnover. Mays looks a little tired. Lawson may have carried it. He did. Jamie Lucky right on top of it. Roy Williams disagrees. I think he feels there may have been a bump that helped force that palming of the basketball.
And actually it was a hold-off on Lawson's arm. He kind of pushed off that right hand, but there have been several times, and we'll talk about it again, that he has gotten out of control with people around him for turnovers.
He's still working Jamie Lucky over a bit about that. Yeah, there may have been a palming of the basketball, but a little contact that far away from the basket in Roy's mind should have been whistled. 72-69. Booker is back on the deck now for Clemson, number 35 in white. Rivers, along with Camontez Stitt, Oglesby, Booker, Mays. They're the 5 on the floor. And Oglesby's problems from deep continue.
Well, against the zone, he's the guy who can certainly stretch it out, but just really has not been shooting the lights out. He'll continue to hoist it, but his first ACC game, his rims get a little bit smaller.
He's 1 for 6 from downtown. Ellington. Thompson the offensive rebound. Green. And the iron unkind to North Carolina in that sequence. There's the entry to Mays. And that's going to be a foul inside against Tyler Hansbrough.
Well, and Mays is doing the right thing, and either Roy Williams is going to have to come down with some help for Hansbrough because he's really getting caught behind on the post, or they're going to have to go to the zone. That's a good area to receive for Mays right there, and he does the right thing, putting pressure on Hansbrough to make him defend.
Potter, too strong. Green snares it out of the air.
A little better serve to kick that one out, get a better look.
Again, trying to get it into Hansbrough against that outstanding bookend wall of Clemson.
You have to understand when to make that pass, Tim. There were just too many white jerseys around Hansbrough. I know you want to get your guy the ball inside, but he's got to be open.
Stipp out of a 1-4 set for Oliver Purnell. Look for a number of screens down along the blocks. Booker fading away off the front iron, gets his own rebound. Green knocked it out of there. Lawson tried to save it but couldn't.
Take a look. You see Booker in front, Mays in the back. All the white jerseys, everybody focusing around, and you had Potter behind to help as well. That's just a pass that should not have been thrown.
Mike, this is, the truth of the matter is North Carolina has played a lot of really good teams on the road, but not teams that are perhaps as athletic or have as many bodies, large bodies, that they can throw at Tyler Hansbrough.
No, and you know, Roy Williams referenced BYU early on as a team that's big and could attack him inside. But other than that, this is certainly the sternest test in the paint.
Potter, count it. 74-69, the lead back up to 5.
Well, he looks like he didn't understand he's playing the #1 team in the nation with the lead. That was a very calm jump shot.
Hansbrough deflected again. Booker.
If it's not one, it's the other coming over. That time Mays blocking and Booker coming from the weak side, working well in tandem.
Ellington. Hansbrough attacking the glass, and an over the back foul. Goes against Ellington, his third.
That was big. If that was on Hansbrough, it would have been his fourth. Only a 5-point game, but the intensity in the building has gone up another notch.
Yes, it has. I go back to the halftime interview that Jim Hildreth did with Oliver Purnell, and it was all about inside, and they have delivered that. They have gone on the offensive end in that direction, and they have sent North Carolina the other direction when rejecting any opportunity the Heels might have inside.
Well, and you know, a name we haven't been calling either, Tim, is Ty Lawson. He has not been getting out in the open floor. They've been keeping North Carolina in the half court. All right, last 4 minutes free throw shooting for Clemson. Let's see how big a role that plays.
Well, they're now 10 of 19 in this game, so just over 50%. Hansbrough would have counted had it gone. He will get to the free throw line for 2. And the foul goes against Sykes, his second.
Raymond Sykes caught out of position that time, going for the steal instead of being a little sounder and letting Booker come from behind.
We've already given you some trouble tonight about what happened here in 1980. But G-Man, he will soon be passing you on the ACC all-time scoring list. He's going to pass Kupchak and Hubert Davis
as a junior
at North Carolina.
Not in total, as a junior.
As a junior,
Let's put it in perspective.
9 points, 10 boards, just shy of a double-double, and and really being snuffed out in a manner that no other team has accomplished so far this year against a Player of the Year candidate. Stitt. How special is DeMontes? The North Carolina Player of the Year just put on a clinic against the homestanding Heels from his home state. Mays fouled.
The theme of this second half, Tim, has been Clemson's ability to get to the hole off the dribble anytime they want.
This is what happens on campus, whether school's in session or not, when you've got your ACC opener against the #1 team in the country, Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski. At the end of this game, it's going to come down to free throw shooting, and right now, Clemson 50%, 10 of 20 at the line, 15 of 18 North Carolina.
But, you know, it's evident, Tim, that this team believes that it can beat North Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Oliver Purnell talked about it. They're 341. It's a plenty of time left, and it's only a 6-point game. But Clemson's right where they want to be.
Oh, they are. Absolutely no doubt about it. Now, I know you played here in that infamous game in '80 for you, scoring 30 and rebounding 10, and lost. I believe it was your opener, too, wasn't it? The opening game of the regular season.
It was our first ACC game.
Was it at all like this?
I believe it or not, crazier. I mean, just because I can look up now and see aisles. I mean, there were people sitting in the aisles. They were hanging in the rafters. They were standing up in the concourse. It was pretty intense. But I tell you what, this is the thing about North Carolina. They draw everybody's best punch, night in and night out.
And they have to live with it.
Yep.
Always have. It's amazing the constant success, sustained success this program has had. Largest lead now for the Tigers, 77-70. 3 and change left. Hansgrohe did manage to get the bump and the foul.
You know, and it's amazing. That's really not his game, Tim. And I think he's just getting frustrated at trying to bang inside. So he pulls out 18 feet from the basket and tries to, even farther than that, and tries to make a dribble penetration move. Booker really bailing him out with a foul.
They may be able to stay in this game and even win it at the line. Most recently, at the free throw line, Clemson 1 of 2. North Carolina gets to the line, 2 of 2. And you'll take those percentages as a coach anytime. Numbers for Stitt. Wisely, they'll bring it back out.
Well, of the 5 players on the floor, Mays really the only liability from the free throw line.
Stitt. Might rethink that one, but Booker on the offensive glass. The offensive rebounding success of Clemson continues.
And that's what penetration does to you. It draws the attention of the bigs and it leaves the front of the rim wide open.
Ginyard lost it on the deck. Thompson saves it to Lawson. Ellington. He cans it, and Roy Williams gets a timeout. 2:45 remaining. Ellington has 26 as he tries to keep his team in this game. The #1 Heels down by 5. 2:45 remaining. A few interested parties in Kansas and Memphis as of now.
Clemson with a 5-point lead over top-ranked North Carolina here at Littlejohn Coliseum. And you've got to wonder, you guys have talked about it, Tim and Mike, free throws coming down the stretch for Clemson. It's been their Achilles heel the last few years. But this year, coming into the season, Oliver Purnell really made it a priority. He videotaped every returning player, had a session to break down the technicalities of the shot for each guy. Then in practice, he created contests, 10 to 12 different games to simulate different kinds of pressure. And, oh yeah, Tim, this may be the most important part, he recruited better free throw shooters and his freshmen, Stitt and Oglesby.
Yeah, that always helps.
Well, and he made it a focus to recruit on the offensive side of the ball, and you put Casey Rivers in that mix. You know, it's nice to defend, but you got to put the ball in the basket every once in a while.
Carolina with pressure. Hammonds handles it. Absolutely carved it apart. 13 for Hammonds.
After they got past the first line of defense, nobody stepped up.
Ellington. Another tray, 29 for him.
He has been special tonight. His shot has been spot on.
Hansbrough rendered really a non-factor offensively. Ellington has really picked it up.
And Rivers has been quiet in this second half, and we haven't called his name out much. Ginyard on him.
Ellington checking Hammonds. Oh, deflection. Thompson got his hand in there to knock it away. Hansbrough in traffic, gets tied up again. Arrow to Clemson. I believe they called a tie ball. He may have been hit in the face or in his eye, but I believe...
And he's looking for his contact right now is what he's doing.
But I believe that was a tie ball, and the arrow is to Clemson. Incidental contact. And the ball belongs to the Tigers.
Boy, he's going to see two white jerseys in his sleep tonight. They have just swarmed all over him. Look at the attack by Mays off the dribble.
And then, of course, as they were fighting for the ball, that's when he got hit. Well, no argument at all from the Carolina bench as they try to readjust that contact lens.
And for at least the possession, North Carolina will go smaller and try to press up the floor.
Crowd responding because they felt that maybe with the stoppage of play should have been forced to stay out. But a good piece of officiating there by Tony Green and company. Two-possession game. And almost a steal at midcourt for Green. Roy Williams really wanted that one. But Green picks up his fourth foul.
Well, there were a couple of times in that possession as they were breaking the press that the crowd was groaning, and it was because of the length of the pass, and we've talked about it. Stitt looking right up the gut that time.
That so-called diagonal pass
that's tough.
at midcourt. Yep. By the way, if Clemson wins this game, and still plenty of time and a two-possession deficit right now facing North Carolina, but the Tar Heels have turned it over 16 times, and Clemson has made them pay for it by 23 points off turnovers for the Tigers. And the woes, as Jen Hilbert mentioned, at the free throw line continue for the Tigers. Green for three. He rattles it home, and another timeout, North Carolina.
Body language turning a little bit in this game. Rivers shaking his head, walking over to the bench. Clemson now looking a little shaky. North Carolina looking like the #1 team in the country.
As you've said, Clemson had them right where they wanted them. Well, now it's return to sender. As Danny Green nails the triple, he and Ellington together making key shots, and then those misses at the free throw line that we touched on continue to bother this Clemson program.
Danny Green, such an improved offensive player this year. 54% from the field, 45% from behind the arc, 90% from the free throw line. That's why he's in at the end of games.
And by the way, just in case you were wondering, he leads the ACC in free throw shooting percentage, 89.7%, so you don't want to foul him either. Stitt with Booker, Mays, Rivers, and Hammonds on the floor.
Trying to deliver the ball to Booker in the low post. He had Hansbrough on his back.
Stitt drives. That was a crier that would not fall.
Yeah, and that's, all of a sudden those shots in the last 2 minutes of the game become a lot tougher to make. Hansbrough did a nice job of blocking out.
Lawson rejected. Hansbrough the putback, and he's fouled.
May's got a cramp in his left calf. He's calling over to the bench to get some help.
Yeah, and he's also picked up his third foul. Hansbrough will be iced for a period of time because of this, but yeah, he picked up the foul, and now he's going to have to leave the game.
He's trying to work it out, but again, we talked about it. He's coming back from an injury. He hasn't played extended minutes. A very tense atmosphere right here, and in the end of the game, cramps are a thing you have to deal with. So he's going to go over, get it worked out, try to get back in.
Let's go over to Jen Hildreth. Jen?
Well, just finishing up what Mike was saying there, I talked to James Mays. He hasn't even been able to go 100% in practice. And not only does that limit him as far as what he can do with contact, but it does limit his fitness. He has to take drills off. So maybe we'll see that playing a part a little bit here in the final seconds.
Hansbrough ties it. He's 6 of 8 at the line. 81-81.
Time for Casey Rivers.
The 9th tie of the game, and you called it right inside to him, and it's an offensive foul. Great defensive work by Hansbrough. Just when you think a great player is going to make something special happen, he does it.
And he's got to stop right here and pull up. He tried to get too much. He was going to his left hand. He had the mid-range shot. One dribble too far.
Well, we've talked about it, how strong this front court would be against Hansbrough, and for the most part, they've gotten the better of him tonight, but still, a double-double in the end. Only 6 shots launched, and that means Clemson did a wonderful job defensively against him.
Yeah, but you know what, he comes down and he misses a free throw, but ties the game, and that makes a winning defensive play on the other end.
Absolutely.
So, he's going to show up and be a factor. It's amazing a guy has a double-double like that, and you feel like he's been taken completely out of the game by Clemson.
Exactly, and it's not fair because there's such a different barometer for a player of Tyler Hansbrough's quality and the level of intensity, even when things aren't going his way, to still manage to make that critical play defensively, drawing a charge like that.
And this is, we played a soundbite earlier from Oliver Purnell about maturity.
Yes.
And this is where a team matures with 47.6 seconds to go in a tie game against the #1 team in the country. This is a learning experience, and part of the maturation is trying to figure out a way to make winning plays in your own right.
Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, Jen Hildreth, happy to have you with us. Game 2 of ACC Sunday Night Hoops, the first full week of regular season conference action, and what a way to finish it up and begin it all here on ACC Sunday Night Hoops.
Plenty of time. All Clemson needs is a sound defensive stop here. No fouls. They've got about 12.6 differential between shot and game clock.
9 ties, 10 lead changes. North Carolina last led this game 38-37 with 1:08 remaining in the first half. They shoot for the lead right here.
Clemson in a zone.
Did not like at all what he was seeing. It was as if Lawson and Ellington had difficulty determining exactly what kind of zone they were in, and he gets the timeout with 12 to shoot, 24.1 left on the game clock.
It's the zone that Clemson went to against Ole Miss in the second half that really caused them fits. It's a 1-3-1 with James Mays out front. You've got length and ability to get out on the shooters.
And don't forget, next week, more of this outstanding conference on display. Virginia, Sean Singletary, the outstanding point guard for Dave Leto, will lead the Cavaliers into Cameron Indoor Stadium against 9th-ranked Duke. 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 Pacific Time. And DeMarcus Nelson, easily the go-to mature player for Mike Krzyzewski's team, 22-7 in the non-conference win over Cornell.
Well, you look at it, Timmy, coming out here, I think that Danny Green is the guy you got to look at. And Ellington has been so good in this game. Let's see who Clemson, if they stick with their zone or go back man. 12 seconds left on the clock, on the shot clock. Back to man.
Ellington over Hammonds. Not there. Mays the rebound. Timeout, Clemson. Boy, give Oliver Purnell a lot of credit. He surprised North Carolina coming out zone initially. Roy Williams didn't like what he saw, particularly given the fact that the zone was something that Ty Lawson was confused over. Gets the timeout, and then ultimately going back to that man defensive pressure. That was a tough shot, even for Ellington.
Made it a short shot clock, got down to 12 seconds, and then Hammonds, we talked about it, a little size differential there, but he made a nice job of staying in front of Ellington. I think Ellington wanted to get into the lane and get a little bit shorter shot, but it was a nice defensive stand. Here's the play, a little interchange right there, but Hammonds fights around the screen, getting the hand up, making sure not to foul, and solid defensive effort on the perimeter.
Yeah, it cannot be drawn up any better than that. Clemson does have a full timeout and a 30 remaining, 13.7. North Carolina also has one timeout. Clemson shoots for the win right here. Rivers the dump down to Booker. Can you book it? Not this time. The putback is no good. Mays no good. Overtime in Clemson.
Here's the play inside. Booker with the solid post-up, but was forced to take a fadeaway jump shot, and then the point blank. Mays had it right there. Tried to rush it up. I'm having deja vu, Timmy. Number one team. Overtime again.
Oliver Purnell, find a player that hasn't taken a shot, will you? And then draw up the play for him to win the game. Right, G-Man? Tim Brando, Mike Jaminski, Jen Hildreth. Call your friends. We're in overtime. Oh, boy, can you believe this? Clemson has not scored in the last 2 minutes and 32 seconds of regulation, and they had a great opportunity right here, Mike.
No, and, you know, Booker, the little fadeaway, but James Mays just couldn't get that second chance opportunity to go down. This is the coaching staff watching it unfold.
Oh, it's so tough when you're playing number one, and especially when that number one team is North Carolina. Attrition may be the biggest issue in overtime. Foul difficulty. Danny Green has 4. Thompson, Ellington, and Lawson each with 3. Trevor Booker has 4 playing inside for Clemson. Hansbrough stays with it. Psycho T gets nailed inside. Who picks it up? It's Booker, and he's gone. That's 5. Just as we mentioned attrition, the first player that could be ruled ineligible is.
And that's a big loss.
A very big loss.
Oliver Purnell's team, that guy who has been battling Hansbrough, but it just relentless even into overtime. Had been defended well on that play initially, but was able to slap the ball up against the backboard. Here you see the miss.
Yeah.
And he's going to get it and miss again, but still stay after it. Just incredible second, third, and fourth efforts in an overtime for a guy who's played a lot of minutes.
Crowd responds to Trevor, who tweaked his ankle and played with some pain tonight. Winds up with a double-double, 14 and 11. And even though it's a huge loss, Sykes has played well. Potter has been very active on the offensive glass. But you lose that second real big body that can give Hansbrough trouble.
Right, that's the guy who's, and Hansbrough struggled from the line, 82%. It's his third miss. But Tim, they've done a good job. One guy has bodied Hansbrough up. The other has come from the offside to get the block shot.
Hansbrough now 6 of 10 at the stripe. Both teams fatigued. The pace has been incredible tonight. Stitt. That's a reach in. Ty Lawson trying to check DeMontez Stitt.
Well, and a bit of a clear out front. There was a high screen by Potter, and that's where got Lawson tied up, and it gave Stitt enough of a room to get into the paint.
And that's 4 on Ty Lawson. So both Lawson and Green have 4 for North Carolina as the problems at the stripe continue. And Stitt is an 88% free throw shooter, but when you're a freshman playing against #1 in your first ACC game ever, it's a little different.
You throw those stats out the window.
Yeah, you do.
New ones are established at this time in this type of game.
Lawson for 3. Potter, we talked about his activity on the glass. Nice job there to make sure he got it, collecting a vital rebound. Stitt has his pocket picked by Ginyard. The designated defender to Ellington. He's fouled by K.C. Rivers.
Well, you have to guard against doing too much off the dribble, especially with Ginyard. Now he gets forced left, and that's a good reach in. Just triggers another break. I think that's the difference, Tim, of a player going to his strong hand and his weak hand. That time Stitt forced left, and it was an easier pick.
By the way, Ellington has a career high tonight. And as he gets the iron to become kind, he's now up to 30 points. That's a career high for the North Carolina Star. Coming into tonight's game, he had 87 made field goals. That was 13 short of the made field goals by Hansbrough to lead the conference in made field goals. First lead since it was 38-37 with a minute and change in the first half.
Once again, 3-minute mark. North Carolina getting back into his zone, trying to protect Lawson for a bit and give some guys a little bit of a rest.
We haven't heard as much from Rivers as you mentioned, Mike. But at times like this, when they really need a deuce, he or Hammonds seem to be the guys. That was a tired jump shot.
Yeah, and just no penetration at all in the zone. Clemson working around the perimeter.
Nice reach in, overplay by Rivers.
Again, you have to, as a guy who's making the entry pass in the post, you have to read the defense, and that was a play that Ellington should not have tried to make.
Let's see if Rivers tries a little harder to get free of Ginyard. That's one of the reasons why we haven't heard as much from KC. He's been checked by the best defender on the floor.
Carolina back in man.
Potter, nice pass to Mays. What a bounce pass entry on the block.
And he's hobbling again. I don't know if those cramps that he was experiencing are starting. Yeah, he's got another cramp that he's dealing with. North Carolina has to recognize that. Maybe get it into Hansbrough.
I don't know how that pass managed to get into his hands. Green. Potter, we talked about him. He's come in for the interior play that had been there from Trevor Booker and really made a difference.
Playing like Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Working some magic out there.
Lost it. Got it on the deck. Loose ball. And North Carolina got control of the ball in the timeout. Well, we'll call it a full timeout. 2:07 remaining in overtime. Clemson by 1. Clemson by 1, and defensive pressure. K.C. Rivers really doing the job here.
Well, you see Hansbrough, and the attack inside will come, and it's a great job from the weak side by Rivers, not giving up on the play. You see him go underneath and slip it, get the steal, and it turns into this play on the other end. Hansbrough caught a little bit out of possession, trying to get around in front of Mays, and just at that second, the pass was delivered.
Potter made an outstanding bounce pass entry.
And Mays is out of the game right now. Sykes is in for him.
Look at that turnover story. The points off, 25 for the Tigers. If they win, that'll be the difference. Thompson in trouble. He took steps by falling down. 19 turnovers now. It led to 25 points for the Tigers. Thompson takes a seat. Ellington, Hansbrough, Lawson, Green, and Ginyard now the 5 on the floor for North Carolina.
If you're going to play in the post, you have to have balance, and it's an overtime game, and you're fatigued, but you have to have a good base. And that time, Thompson got caught unbalanced, fell down, and got the travel.
A runner by Potter. He has been outstanding since coming into the game. 6 for him.
Got a shoulder. Green went for the steal and the gamble and got out of position.
Clemson by 3. Ellington, foul prior to the shot. It goes against Hammonds, his 3rd.
Now watch this, a little bit out of sync that time, and boy, Potter has been fearless. He is playing like a veteran in this game. He's tripled his scoring from last year and really had the opportunity to get some court time, Tim, when Perry was out with an injury.
And now, because of the loss of Trevor Booker, he's forced to play the rest of the way. And he's come up very big, both on the offensive and defensive boards. We saw that bounce pass entry for the bucket earlier to Mays, and now the runner to give Clemson a 3-point lead that's now been whittled to 2. Ellington's been perfect at the line. He now has 33 on the night, 9 of 9 at the stripe. And the lead back to 1. Hammonds. Rivers not looking for a shot, not with Ginyard in his face. Shot clock winding down. Mays through the double team, left hand. Hansbrough brings it in. Big defensive sequence for North Carolina. Lawson nearly lost it and was fouled by Rivers. I think Oliver Purnell thought that Lawson had the ball locked on his hip, therefore had carried the ball, and it should have been a turnover prior to the foul. That's his argument.
But the speed of Lawson makes that play happen. Just really got up everybody's back for Clemson. And that was a tough play for Mays down the other end. He really didn't have good post-up position. I thought Hansbrough did a nice job of staying between him and the basket.
Take a look and see if he did. Yeah, he may have. Just briefly, just for a moment. He did peek, didn't he? He nails both free throws. North Carolina by 1. 49.4 remaining. Still, it would have been a very difficult call to make. Hammonds off the dribble penetration. Step out. Another loose ball gotten by Potter.
And an opportunity for the last shot for Clemson. Want to give yourself a little bit of a time for an offensive rebound.
1-4 set, DeMontez Stitt. The freshman is bumped. Green comes out to pick up the foul with 13.9 remaining. What did we say about the free throw line? And for Green, that's number 5. He's done.
And I don't understand. I mean, that was not a smart foul in that situation.
Especially given, I know you said that you throw out the stats at this stage of a game like this, particularly with a freshman, but of the players on the floor, DeMontez Stitt is the one that Oliver Purnell would want at the line.
And Timmy, he's got to recall right now at Mississippi State, he made some big free throws in the last minute of that game. So he knows that he can make it in this situation. Now he's down 1 point to the number 1 team in the nation in the end of overtime, but you have to recall on those positive moments.
A young man that grew up Matthews, North Carolina, David W. Butler High School. Grew up with North Carolina blue all through his home. But now it's all orange. And he tries to put some more leather through the hoop here.
If he misses, Tim, the guy they want to you get the rebound. If you're going to foul a guy, foul Thompson. That's solid right there.
Timeout, North Carolina. You're right. Deon Thompson is a 41% free throw shooter. I'll be interested to see if he stays in the game.
No, he will not be in the game when they break this huddle. Danny Green will be in for him for sure.
Yeah, it wouldn't be Danny.
Green, that's right. But then, you look at it, Tim, and I think Ellington's the guy who's been making plays for this ball club.
You make sure he gets the ball on the inbounds is what you're telling me.
Well, I think you give it to Lawson, maybe make them get a two-man game. But he's been your hot hand.
Especially with Ty Lawson driving it to the basket. You're either going to get to the line or create an open shot for Ellington.
Plenty of time to go end-to-end on this one. Almost 14 seconds left. Especially with a guy like Lawson.
Yeah. Little John Coliseum, Clemson, South Carolina. Number 1 at stake for North Carolina. Clemson looking for its biggest win in the Oliver Purnell era, perhaps.
Thompson in. He's going to try to screen.
Leaves it for Ginyard. Not really a scorer. Shot clock winding down and a timeout taken by Roy Williams. So he had to be upset with the turn of events. He did not like that set at all. And it's really interesting to see what he can design with 5.4 remaining.
Well, they had Thompson in the game, but he was going to try to screen Lawson's man at the beginning of that to try to give him some running room, but that never materialized. The play broke down. Roy Williams forced to call that timeout. They are out of timeouts right now.
The moment Ginyard got the pass, that offensive sequence was in trouble. 6 undefeated teams coming into tonight. Kansas looked awfully good at the Conti Forum against Boston College over the weekend. Memphis's train continues to roll with a win against Arizona, non-conference, of course, and they may not be challenged in their league outside of games at UAB and at Houston. Washington State, as you mentioned, playing very well. Vanderbilt and Ole Miss, the other remaining undefeated teams in the country. Well, what a great measuring stick for both of these teams. Oliver Purnell finding out about his club, and the same for really Roy Williams without the Bobby Fraser option. I think he now knows what the deficiencies really are.
Yeah, and for Clemson, I think they've validated they've been in the top 25 for a while now, and then this performance tonight, win or lose, certainly validates that. But don't tell that to the guys in white over there. They want to finish this game off defensively.
Tyler Hansbrough probably given more trouble underneath in the painted area tonight than at any time I've ever seen, Mike, and yet made enough key plays to take this game to an extra session. And in the end, we'll pick up the paper tomorrow and say, well, another double-double.
Yeah, instead of now you've got Sykes in there, so you've got an extra defender inside along with Mays in case of penetration.
Will there be time for a putback? A lot of times the offensive rebound can be the real key. Lawson over to Ellington for 3. Got it! How much time remains? Will there be more than .4? Boy, Lawson under duress, found the open man, and it couldn't have been a better man than the man that's having a career-high night.
Again, the gamble going out, and it looked like Ellington, of all people, how can a guy with 30-plus points get lost like that? A great look for him, and has he been any good today? Whew.
Potter lost him, and as you mentioned, gambled, went for the steal. 36 points for Wayne Ellington, 11 of 19 field goals, 5 of 8 from downtown. And it appears that .4 will be all that remains. So they will not adjust the shot clock, the game clock at all. And 30-second timeout taken now by Oliver Purnell, and that's it for him.
Well, now I think you've got to get something, a little back screen, maybe send Sykes or Mays up to the rim for a tip attempt.
I'm looking at Terrence Oglesby sitting on the bench along with Booker and company. Away from the Clemson huddle, they are in disbelief. Absolute disbelief.
Well, I don't know that I've seen in the points side of Wayne Ellington play any better. I mean, he has just been outstanding.
And never was he needed to play at his best quite like tonight, because Hansbrough had been effectively taken away by Clemson defensively.
You take a look at it, Ellington breaking out, everybody looking at Lawson, and there's the lunge that really allowed him to tee up the jump shot.
Yeah, as well as David Potter had played since coming in defensively after Booker fouled out, he'd love to have that defensive opportunity back. Thompson will guard the inbounds pass. Looking long, out of bounds to North Carolina. Never touched the ball, so they will have it with 0.4 of a second, and all they need to do is trigger it in, and this game is over. Lessons learned the difficult way for a young team that's trying to mature.
But that's it. You know, whether it's a minute or 30 seconds or 10 seconds, you have to finish off the game, and Ellington made the winning play.
North Carolina moves to 15-0. Comes from behind to win here at Clemson. Just a magnificent performance in a game that G-Man really lived up to the advanced billing.
No question. You know, Clemson, they started out strong. They had a lot of confidence in this game. They quickly realized that they could play with North Carolina, and it was just a great game. There were a couple of times I thought, Timmy, where Clemson could have gone away in this game. Yeah. They showed a lot of heart coming back in, but at the end of the day, great players make great plays, and Ellington, a career game for him, and he caps it off with the game winner.
Again, watch the defensive play by Potter. And literally goes for the steal right here.
And Lawson, between two bigs, between Sykes and Mays, finding his backcourt mate. Just knowing where your teammate's going to be. That was a terrific find.
A terrific performance coming from behind by North Carolina. And this young Clemson team will live to fight another day, knowing that they belong in the top 25. We'll be back to wrap it up. Wayne Ellington had been somewhat cool from beyond the arc coming into tonight's game, G-Man. He had been scoreless from three-point range in 3 of the Tar Heels' last 7 games. Well, he picked the perfect time to warm up tonight.
No question, but look at that. A career-high 36 points for him, solid 11 of 19. Everything looked effortless for him. He's got such a beautiful stroke, 5 of 8. I think he's off of that, slump.
He's off the schneid?
Yes, I think so.
North Carolina perched atop the ACC along with Wake Forest and Boston College, Florida State, all the teams that have gotten early entries into the win column. But more importantly, 15-0 and still #1 in America. Remember, join us next ACC Sunday Night Hoops for Virginia, #9 Duke. Coming up next, most of you will see the FSN final score, highlights from around the country. For the G-Man and Jen Hildreth, Tim Brando, so long from Little John. What a special night. North Carolina #1 with a bullet. See you next week.